Hi, everybody. Dr. Joan Ifland here. Thanks so much for joining me with these conversations about how to recover from processed foods. And I am the author of the textbook, Processed Food Addiction, and I have been told that that makes me a leading expert in recovery from processed foods. I'll take it. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to create this podcast, because people have no idea what processed foods are denying them. We are going to be talking about what it is like to recover from processed food, and I am just thrilled that you are here with us. I have a super exciting guest with me today. Cathy Dixon is a FARA advocate, food addiction recovery advocate in the addiction reset community, and she is also ordained. So we are going to have an amazing conversation about faith and how faith can lead you to recovery from processed foods, how we are faithfully attended to, I believe, by our higher power, our deity, our higher force, whatever you call that, a wonderful entity that loves us so much. So I'm going to start out by letting you be impressed with Cathy's background and her credentials. Hello, Cathy. Thank you so much for coming here today. Tell
Joan,
our listeners
I
background.
will. I will. Joan, thank you so much for inviting me today. It's just a real privilege to be here with you. And in my background, oh my goodness, I feel like I've been around the world and back, and literally I have. But anyway, so I have a formal education, like a regular degree kind of thing with some health sciences, social sciences. Um, And I also have, well, 20 years I studied, and it was just part-time. And I wound up getting a master's in biblical studies. And
Ah,
then I've used that in a counseling setting. So here in Canada, I'm trying to think what it was, but it was a counseling center in Oakville, Ontario. So I've used some of that there, but definitely a lot with parishioners that would be at the faith assembly.
mm,
So using counseling in that respect. I've also traveled to Africa, lived
uh-huh.
in missions over there for a while, traveled back and forth, spoke at many, many conferences over there. I I also have a nutrition advisor certificate,
Mhm.
and I'm currently working because I believe in lifelong education. So there's the FARA certificate that I worked on within the addiction reset community, which was awesome. And am working on insulin IQ coaching certificate.
Wow.
So just a lot of different things. And of course, we all get motivated by different things that have happened in our lives.
Yeah,
And for
yeah.
me, I developed a real faith in my higher source, whom I call God. And I developed that faith as a child, only
Mhm.
9 years old. At the time, I'd gone through a trauma, and I it was at Christmas time, and I
Mm,
was just in this foster home. And sure
mm.
enough, it wound up to be the best Christmas of my life. So that was the
Oh,
celebration that year. So it
oh.
was a great holiday season because I found faith. And that's what's carried me through many, many, many events in my life is
Mm,
faith.
mm,
So I've done a number of other jobs as well. So I have an adult educator certificate,
mm.
and I taught at a college for quite a while before
Uh-huh.
before I moved. No, after I came back from Africa. That's when that was. And so I taught a social services program, 21 different courses, and I loved it. My
Oh,
students
cool.
were the best ever.
Oh.
In my personal life, as I said, I had that trauma when I was 9,
Mm,
and it wound up being a great time of the year because I found faith,
Mm,
but it wasn't a great time of year on some other levels, some emotional levels that I didn't understand as a child.
mm,
And it's the point where I started to eat food.
mm,
In fact,
mm.
that particular year, I got one gift, and it was a metal box of sweets. One
Oh God.
gift.
Oh gosh.
And
Oh
I
gosh.
cherished it. I like, wow, it made me feel great. This is the gift, is this metal box of sweets.
Yeah.
And I since have learned so much. So I went on many, many, diets as most of us have, lost 100 pounds more than once, just went up and down and up and down and up and down. So I had finally found a food plan that was really working for me. And I lost over 100 pounds with that. This was back in 2006.
Yeah.
And, but I still had a struggle. And the struggle was like this mental, this emotional stuff. I'm like, what do I do with this? And
Oh,
I'm praying. I'm saying, what do
yeah.
I do with this? What do I do? I need help, but I don't
Yeah.
know where to get help.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
next thing I saw this wonderful woman, a pioneer, I would call her, named Joan
Mm,
Ifland. And she was being interviewed by one of the people that I followed on social media. And
mm.
I thought, that's it. Food addiction. I knew that, but I'd never heard that. And
But
so,
you knew it. It
yeah,
resonated with you. Something inside of you said, yes, this is it.
well, yeah, because it's like, I'm like, what am I doing? I would go buy things, not even realizing I was buying them. I'd finish it off. And you know what I bought?
Yeah.
I bought diet
Yeah.
products. I bought diet products because it says right on the package,
Yes.
it is good.
Yes. Oh
I
my
read the
gosh.
package.
Diet products are the low tar cigarettes of our time.
Aren't they? Aren't they?
Yes, they're
But they are
worse. And
so
oh my
addictive.
gosh. We
And I'd
have to.
finish off a box, go into the next box. I mean, it was
Mhm,
just as bad, maybe worse
mhm,
than
mhm.
the original stuff.
Yeah, because you kind of trust it. The addiction says, "Oh, see, you can eat that. You can eat that because it's diet.
Yeah,
Can't you see it's diet? It says diet on the package. It must be
yeah.
okay. It's not okay at
Well, it even
all."
says on the box it's okay, and I see the advertisements and they tell me that it's okay. And
Oh
it
my
and it
god.
tastes really, really good
I
and
mean,
makes me
these
feel good
manufacturers
for a moment.
have no shame. They have
Yeah,
no
they
shame.
don't.
They have no soul. They have no heart. They have no compunction. They have no moral guidelines. Oh, can we get people to buy into this incredibly fattening, mood altering, destroy cell function in 8 ways? Oh, do you think we can get them to buy it if we put the word diet on it or we put the word healthy on it?
Yeah.
Ah, Cathy, you're among the millions who have been
Oh,
just
right. It's so sad.
manipulated into that. So
Yeah.
sad.
Because you believe you're doing the right thing. I believed I
Yeah,
was doing the right thing for my
yeah,
body,
yeah.
and it wasn't the right thing. And I didn't learn that. I didn't
No,
learn that, Joan, until I came into the addiction reset community. And then I'm like,
really? Oh gosh, that
are
makes
you
me feel
kidding?
so good. No, I mean, low tar cigarettes are what finally brought down the tobacco industry because they're actually more harmful than regular cigarettes. Because they're low tar, you have to inhale the smoke more deeply and hold it for longer to extract the nicotine. And so they're actually more destructive than regular cigarettes.
Wow.
And so
Wow.
they don't care. They don't care. They want to make money, they want to sell you a product, and they will do anything to make that happen. And they've certainly done it.
Yeah.
I do. I love this topic because recently a lawyer I think in California, just took it upon himself. He was so outraged by a particular bar, a bar
Yeah.
that was like 30% high fructose corn syrup, just a horrible product. And there was this company putting healthy on it and putting a mountaineer on the package and going showing up at like athletic events to sell this healthy product that will help you be a great athlete. He actually won, and it was a sizable settlement. And I hope he got all of it. This lawyer who just took it upon himself to sue to have this manufacturer stop doing that. And the judge agreed. They had to take the word healthy off their product, and they had to pay a hefty fine.
Well, isn't
Kathy,
that
there's
what they do, right? The advertisers, they've got this really sports person or somebody that an idol, somebody that we idolize or a figure that we idolize. We think, oh, I want to
Mhm,
be like that. I want to be like that. And so we purchase
mhm.
that product, but it's
Oh gosh,
deceptive. I call it deceptive dainties. That's what they are. They are
deceptive dainties.
deceptive.
I love it. I love it. I
They
love
look
it.
good. It actually
Yeah, and
comes
they do it
directly from
with
scripture, that quote.
yeah. They do it with children and rock stars.
Yes.
In the fast food places, it's so and so's favorite meal. And so the kids, the preteens, the teens, they want that meal too. It's so we're going to switch gears here because you are a educated, certified, degreed, ordained faith leader. And
Right.
so I did my doctoral internship in a faith organization. And I have to say, for the first 22 years of my career, that was the only successful thing I did. I didn't know why. It was
Yeah.
because these are people who had gone to this church for together for 40 years. They
Mhm.
loved doing things together. So when I introduced a food plan to them, they all just did it. It was a community. It was an existing community. I introduced some new information into it. They all followed it, and bing, 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 just what you expect. Lose the weight, get your energy back, joint pain gone, doctors taking members off of prescriptions. It was, and when I did the research for the internship, I really got it. When people are going to a faith organization, they have some kind of expectation that they will be
Mhm.
taken care of in some way. They'll have a relationship with a higher power or whatever you want to call that entity, and they will benefit from it in some ways. Well, the first time I walked into that building, the side table was piled with desserts. And do you know what I
Uh-huh.
said to myself? I said, oh, the devil has gotten inside here.
Mm.
And my heart fell. My heart fell to my feet. I just said, because sugar is more destructive than cocaine. It's more addictive than cocaine. Processed foods cripple cell function. Now, cell functions they're, well, to me, they're a divine creation. They're
Yeah.
given to us. And if all you have to do, as I think Albert Einstein said this, he said, all you have to do is study cell function to know that there is a creator out there. The cells are miraculous, and processed foods cripple them. Every cell in the body, the brain cells, the gut cells, the heart cells, the joint cells, the skin cells, every cell in the body is crippled by processed foods. And there they are, all piled up inside this lovely, good hearted faith organization. And I just said, oh my gosh, the devil has gotten inside this. It happened to be a church. So how do we grapple with all of that?
Well, most faiths believe that our bodies are a gift, that our bodies are like a temple. And if you have a temple, which is the place where where the holy deity would live, you want to take care of that temple as best as you can.
Mhm. And there's the
And I
food
remember
industry working night and day to make sure that doesn't happen.
they're
Cravings,
doing their
addiction.
best.
Yeah.
Yes, the cravings trying to take you off track. Those deceitful dainties, as I said, they're just trying to take you off track. They take something that is true, they twist it, and then they get you trapped, and you don't even know it. It just happens. And as you were saying about the cells, every cell in our body is important. I remember when I was studying microbiology and pathophysiology and working with cadavers and so on, it's like amazing. We are amazing creatures. We are just so wonderfully made. I mean, who could understand it all? Nobody understands it all, even today, right? Researchers, scientists, they're continually learning more and more and more. So it's just exciting to be on that learning curve, but it's exciting to do our part to take care of our temple.
Mm-hmm. And there's the food industry, the pharmaceutical industry, the entertainment industry, the video game industry, the weight loss industry, just working night and day with the most sophisticated brain imaging technology to manipulate our brains in such a way to make it really impossible for us to take care of our bodies. But you have had an experience, I have had an experience where to me this just seemed like a divine intervention. No matter what faith you are, even if you are not participating in a faith right now, I know Americans are leaving faith organizations in droves. And probably most of the people listening to this conversation still have their faith, but they're not going to a building to practice it. They're not in a community to practice it. So this is something that I've asked myself many, many times, especially when I think about how the processed food industry has attacked children. So children are growing up not connected with life, not learning life skills, not having the pleasure of a young life, because their brains are dominated by cravings, and that's all they can think about is the next processed food. So I do feel like whenever I get in front of somebody that they have been brought there through a divine force, that
Yeah.
somehow, I got picked. I don't know how, but I know I got picked to to have years and years and years where I could work on understanding the business practices and work on understanding what does it mean to have an addiction, and then work on this extensive immersion treatment system that we have now. I know I got picked out of billions of people on the planet. I got picked to be in this role so I could stop suffering. And I feel like everybody that I get
Yes.
to talk to has been picked to come and talk to me and also be
Yeah.
shown a pathway out of this incredible suffering. So what was your experience like? How did you come to be on that pathway, and what did you do once you got on that pathway?
Okay. Well, as I said, I've seen you being interviewed by one of the people that I follow on YouTube. And and I thought, this is me. I mean, just like some people are listening right now and they're thinking, whoa, this is me. That's exactly how I felt. It was like striking me. I'm like, I got to get in there. I got to get in there. And so I joined the addiction reset community, and I had no sooner joined. And the reason I joined is really because I was still getting these emotional and mental battles. That was really the thing, right? The food plan was there. I'd already, lost the 100 pounds. I have a heart murmur that's disappeared. My
Mm,
eyesight's actually improved.
wow.
There's been so many different, my blood pressure is normalized, my blood sugar is normalized, the joints are better, all those kind of health things. There was still the mental and emotional battle. that I didn't understand. And so when I came in, I started to learn. I saw resources like I couldn't believe. I just couldn't believe it. I felt like I had just entered a university again.
Yeah,
And
it's
there's
like
like a
that.
million classes, and there's all these teaching materials, and I'm just soaking it all in, and I'm coming in, and I'm listening to other people and their stories. And even I listened a lot, we just kind of listened in on other people's stories. And as I listened, I'd hear my story and their story. I'm like, listen to that. That's my story, you know. And so very quickly, I thought I want to do something with this. I mean, I already had written a book. I'm already helping people out there. I've already
Yes.
traveled in missions and I've spoken on this topic and so on. But I'm learning more, and I want to help people more because they've been deceived by the deceptive dainties. They've been deceived by that whole, all the corporations and the advertising and all that kind of things.
Yeah.
Then, so I decided I'm going to become a food addiction reset advocate. I'm going to learn more. I'm going to help people that are right here within the addiction reset community. And wherever I go, I will be empowered. So knowledge is power, but it's only power if you apply the knowledge, right? You can
Yeah.
have an electrical cord that has power, but it has to be plugged in.
Oh, that's
Faith,
that's a great analogy.
faith too is like that. You can have faith, but you got to plug it into your source. It can't just wander somewhere. You got to plug it in. And
Wow.
so here I felt like I've been able to merge science with faith with my
Okay.
life
Okay.
and how I've walked it out. I'm like, this is powerful. It's plugged in. I'm plugged in. And so I'm
Super.
really, really grateful for that.
Yeah. Yeah. There is, I do remember 28 years ago, January 1996, when I stopped using just sugars and flours, and I thought all I was going to do was solve a weight problem. And the
Mm-hmm.
bloating stopped within 4 days, and the cravings, and the brain fog, and the fatigue. And then in the next week, the itchy eyes, the allergies got better, the asthma got some better, and the lifelong sinus infection cleared up. And then in the third week, I realized I had stopped finally. Finally, I'd stopped yelling at my family, something I'd been desperately trying to make happen for literally 12 years at that point. So it did feel like a miracle every day. Every day. And I would go to the support group meetings on the weekend. It was before the internet. I couldn't just run and look things up. I had to rely on other people to tell me that everything that I experienced, they had also experienced. And it was unreal. It started that feeling of just being unreal. I could look around me in the culture. I immediately made handouts. I got them to the parents of my kids' friends, classmates. Nobody did anything. Nobody changed. I thought, oh, it's just because they don't know. I wrote an entire book. I did all these things over the next 22 years. But the only thing that worked was my doctoral internship that I did in that faith organization. And now I know we are designed by these divine forces, we are designed to thrive in communities. And it's
Yes.
why communities come together to worship. It's why we live in communities. All of that. And that was the piece I didn't get. I didn't get it. It took me many more years until finally I organized a community on Zoom. But here's the thing that I have. Of course, this is obvious. People who come into our community never gave up. They never
Mm-mm.
gave up. If they gave up, they didn't find us. But the people who come into our community, they might have spent 20 years, 50 years. We have people coming in their 60s who had this when they were little. So they never lost their faith. They
Yes.
never lost their faith that eventually they would get to a safe place. And I do wonder people who go, uh, however they practice their faith, but they believe, they believe, they believe, they believe, and then they don't get results until they, whatever that divine path is, their divine path brings them to, ah, it's processed foods. Oh, it's cravings for processed foods. Oh, it's marketers and profiteers who have taken your divinely designed brain and manipulated it into doing harmful things. Cathy, my gosh, how do you explain that to somebody? And do you think it's true?
I absolutely think it's true. And I think it's something that we can live before others. And as the opportunities open, that we can explain what's happening, and our I think too that within each one of us is given a desire.
Mm,
And there's a desire that we want to be free in ourselves, but there's also a desire to help other people.
mm-hmm.
That's a part of it. It's not, we need the community. And that's why you were so successful the very first time you spoke in a faith community, because they had
Mm-hmm.
the community part. And it
Yeah,
was
the
successful
community part.
because there was the community. And when they
Yeah,
heard the truth set them free because they acted on it.
yeah.
If we hear truth and we act on it, it will set us free. And yeah,
I think that's it. I think that's it. I do now. I've been in this field now for 28 years. I do think I get this so clearly that people who come in contact with me, and I'm going to ask you whether you're getting this too, that they have been brought there. They've been
yes,
called there. They've been led there by a divine entity that just loves them so much. If you're
yeah,
listening to this, I believe you have been called to listen to this.
yeah,
Do you
absolutely.
believe that?
Absolutely. And I want to say that to anyone that's listening right now, that if you're here and you're hearing this message, it's not by accident,
Mm-hmm.
but this is an appointed time. And it's appointed time for you to finally get set free from what you've been struggling with. This food,
Yeah.
you're like, what is this? I do
Yeah.
everything they say to do, and it's not working for me.
Mm.
Sometimes it brings you to tears. Sometimes you want to beat yourself up, and that won't be the solution. You know what the solution is? The solution is love and kindness. Love
Mm-hmm.
and kindness from a community, and love and kindness towards ourselves, and knowledge, plugging in that electrical cord and plugging
Yes,
in your
and
faith.
knowing, being so familiar with how deeply we are loved by the divine, that the divine put food on the earth for us that would make
Yes,
us happy. And this is just,
yes,
I mean, this is the work of the devil that we're being pulled off into these substances that are, they're not food. The way
they're
our
not
brains are
food.
designed, they react to processed foods the same way they react to drugs. Processed foods, according to your brain, are recreational drugs. They don't activate the feeding pathway that God gave us, that our divine gave us. They activate the drug addiction pathways in the brain that
Mhm.
only, I mean, I'm going to use the word, only an evil force would take those pleasure pathways and twist them into
Yeah.
addiction pathways. You did not do that. That was done to you by, I know this is language is going to sound over the top, but there are forces of evil out there. And I believe every addicted brain cell got that way because a force of evil came into that person's head, whether it's a corner drug dealer, or whether it's a corner alcohol store, or whether it's a corner candy store, or a convenience store, or a big box grocery store. They all fall into the same category of just evilness.
Well, when you talk about the force of evil, as I was saying before, the only thing that the force of evil can do is take truth and twist it. It doesn't create something new, actually. It takes truth and twists it. And so in this case, that force of evil, what truth is it taking? It's taking the truth of love and twisting it because it's using love. The love of money is the root
Mhm.
of all evil.
Mhm.
I'm not saying money is evil, it's not evil. It's how you use it. But the love of money, you just want more and more and more. That greed, that is the root of evil. And that's one thing that I found in the addiction reset community, that it actually is a cost savings. It
Yes.
costs a little bit each month, but
Yes.
it's a cost
Yes.
savings because now you're
Yes.
not stopping off at every, I used to stop off
Absolutely.
everywhere,
Yeah.
every gas station, every drive-through, whatever.
Yeah.
And who knows what I know what I spent actually. There was times on those package things, I was spending $300 to $500 a month on those little packages at one point in my life. Craziness, craziness. But
It's insanity.
I was addicted to it. And here, what you've been doing, Joan, is giving back to the world a gift for
It's
anybody
so
that
fun.
wants the gift. It's
I
here.
have to say, I think it's unbelievable. I think I have the most fun. Well, you and I, Cathy, and all the other advocates and the trainees and the ARC members, we're having fun. This is fun.
We
It's
do have
fun
fun.
to take people who've been told, because the medical industry uses mostly pharmaceuticals and surgery, they can't fix a lot of things. A lot of things cannot be fixed with pharmaceuticals and surgery. They have to be fixed with community and lifestyle and a faith practice, etc. So when we're able to walk somebody through uh, curing an incurable, a quote unquote incurable
Mhm.
disease, it's so fun. I heard this yesterday. One of our members came in with fatty liver, and their doctors were pressuring them to get a liver transplant. And they don't have fatty liver anymore. What did they do? They came in, they participated in the community, but they just said, oh, here's the list of things I shouldn't eat. Here's the list of things I should eat. Well, I'll just eat the things that I should eat. Boom, fatty liver cleared up. But if you look at those two lists, and do email us info at processed food addiction if you would like those two lists, what to eat, what not to eat. All the foods on the lists of foods to eat, they look like they were created by a divine being. All the foods on the list of foods not to eat, they look like they were created by a drug dealer. They do. White powders,
Yeah.
come on. White crystals, come on. The concentrated
I,
substances, yeah, really.
I used to call that white death.
It is white death.
White death. It
Yeah.
is.
There's a
And it's a
reason why
slow death.
flour,
Serious, though.
yeah, there's a reason that flour and sugar look like, if you held up a bag of heroin, a bag of cocaine, a bag of sugar, a bag of flour, you could not tell the difference. They're all drugs. Cathy,
Yeah.
Cathy,
And
Cathy, what's,
our bodies are made to heal themselves. If they're given the
yes,
right environment, they will heal themselves
yes,
from many, many things. I mean, there
yes,
are some things that we do need medical intervention. If I break my leg, I want some medical help.
yeah,
Surgeries, I want some
sure,
medical help, and maybe some serious illnesses too.
yeah,
But
sure.
for the most part, our bodies do the healing part. We just give it the right environment.
The right environment, the right nourishment, the right thoughts, the
Yes.
right prayers. Absolutely. Cathy, give our visitors today a few parting thoughts.
Well, never give up. You were brought here. You're brought here for purpose. And you might have failed 1,000 times before, but that was before. The past. Don't be ruled by the past. It's a new day, and an opportunity is right here, right in front of you. So I would ask you, give yourself another opportunity and see what your faith can do what your body can do and get set free from this horrible addiction that was put on you.
You just heard very powerful words from Cathy Dixon, and I have some really, really good news for you. Cathy offers a 4-week course, 1 hour a week. It's $50 in how to use faith to conquer food addiction. So somewhere around here, there's a link. Click on it, learn more, and join Cathy in her course and get to know her. She's really marvelous. Thank you so much for joining us today for our Conversations with Joan Ifland. Thank you, Cathy Dixon, for being my special guest today. And watch for the next episode of Conversations with Joan Ifland. Take care.
Thanks, Joan.
Thank you so much for coming today. I appreciate your interest. Tell the next person. You can walk the next person out of this processed food nightmare with what you learned today. See you next time.